StreamYards is not playing anything, so let's see. I don't hear anything. And all right, let's try that again. Okay. Oy. All right. Welcome in this post Super Bowl days, Monday. I normally do this show on Sunday, and it's like basically the first day of my day off. Of my week off. So I don't know how long I'm gonna go. Person I normally do this with, one is out of town, and the other one is probably asleep right now. So, gotta give you guys a round of applause. All right, to all you people who check this out later, thank you. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is get into the Super Bowl because that's the first thing on the checklist today, and I'm not really gonna talk about the sports side of it. It's more of the commercials, which were kind of blah, and I'm not really gonna get into the halftime show too much. To be honest, is the talk about it right now is mostly annoying. It is people who are calling every person who didn't like it racist or whatever, and the people who didn't like it, the loud ones, are yelling about how they don't like hip hop and blah 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 blah, right? And how they didn't understand what he's saying. It just turned into a whole freaking thing on Twitter, which is a bunch of all of it is BS. No, I was bored by it because, to be honest, I like Kendrick Lamar's first three albums. Like the later ones, I don't really feel. Mostly because I don't like the way that he raps now. Like the way his flow is. To me, it's a little irritating and a little pretentious. But that's me. I've heard a couple of songs on his new album that I actually like, but not enough to get me to actually purchase it. So, and I am sick to death of hearing Not Like Us. I like Drake songs, him as an artist. I'm not feeling that much either. So I really don't care about the diss thing. And I personally felt that it was kind of inappropriate for them to have been playing a diss song to somebody else in the Super Bowl. I've heard some people talk, and it's like you should probably get people who a large number of your audience knows. And that doesn't necessarily have to be because you heard a lot of rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be one of those. It could be rap artists as well, just ones who have a more known body of work. That's why I work with Rihanna. That's why I work with Usher, and so on and so forth. It's like to do the Super Bowl, you get enough people who are going to be in attendance to kind of know who you are. So I'm like, yeah, certain people who are very loud on Twitter right now or X. They know who Kendrick Lamar is and they like that song. So they're yelling and screaming at everyone who has no idea who he is or heard that song. So it's not like before with the radio and whatnot. So everybody can kind of listen to the same thing. But because of streaming, you can see that's the weird thing about streaming is you can have someone who has a huge following and a lot of people will have no idea who this person is. It's just kind of how it works. So, and that's kind of all I want to say about at least that part. But IGN does have some of the Super Bowl commercials. I made the mistake, all right, of instead of buying chicken wings from like Wingstop or Buffalo Wild Wings, I decided to try to save some money. Now, I air fried the chicken wings. They came out good and all that stuff, but it took a long time and it took me a lot of into the game. So there's a lot of stuff I missed. And given how the game was kind of boring because I'm talking about sports and whatever. But yeah, it was a little boring. That was a little boring too because it was kind of a one-sided thing. So let's see what IGN has as far as some of what they felt were the best commercials. All right. All right. Super Bowl commercials and trailers, the best moments from the big game, Mission Impossible. I still haven't watched the beginning one of this. It's like a little spot.
Watch NHL games live on a variety.
It's been a long time, Ethan.
Your mission.
What I remember is it's a lot of him running.
Everything you are, everything you've done, has come to this. I need you to trust me.
Tom Cruise is crazy, man. Oh, as far as a TV spot goes, that's fine. It is I didn't watch the one before this. I actually own it. I still haven't looked at it yet. So I'm probably gonna watch it before May. So I don't really have an idea what's going on. But in terms of a little TV spot, looks interesting, but all of them look kind of interesting. Oh, all right. So the Jurassic Part 1, I think I'm kind of over. So let's look at a little bit of that.
Where'd you get those shoes?
Oh, hell no. Never mind. I'm not sitting through that. I can. So, took another look at the newest entry in the beloved franchise, which is set to hit theaters on July 2nd. While the footage is some in common with the most recent trailer, we do get to see a bit more of the journey to come. So, I'll just let it go. And while it's going. I think I might be over Jurassic Park,
He's your guy?
We're the best at moving things and people in and out of places they shouldn't be.
We'll avoid government patrol, but there aren't that many anymore.
Why's that?
No one's dumb enough to go where we're going.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
Please don't say they're raptors. They're raptors.
The worst of the worst. We're left here.
Come on!
I swear they keep telling the same story over and over and over again. They just cast different people to be in it. And the stories are based off of the second book, which takes like the second movie took elements of the first book, I think, and mixed it with the second book. But the second book is like in terms of the Michael Crichton book is actually much better than anything that they put now. Like you should really go read both books, the Jurassic Park book and the second one. Hammond, if I can remember, the old guy is kind of an ass. He's not the lovable grandfather guy that they portrayed in the first movie. He's actually the young guy in the second movie. That's how he actually is. He's just a greedy corporate guy. So books, as per usual, are better than the actual movies. This is just a rehashing of the same thing over and over and over again. So instead of Chris Pratt, we have what's her name? Black Widow. Whatever. It's same thing. Like the Thunderbolts. The trailer begins with Valentina Algra de Fontaine speaking in court, saying that the Avengers are not coming. So I guess around this point, I don't know exactly when this takes place. It's like this. Is it recently to the after Endgame? Not Endgame. Yeah, Endgame. So I don't know how far from Endgame or any of the TV shows that the Thunderbolts take place. They did show off the Void, which is the alter ego of the Century. They briefly, and you know what? Let's check it out.
Costly plumbing disasters can drain your patience.
Okay. So they I don't really know what to make of it though. Like I'm probably going to see it because there's not a lot of movies that I don't have too much interest in.
Let's talk facts. The Avengers are not coming. Who will keep the American people safe?
There's some big threat out there, and you are going to help me stop it.
Wait, us?
Yeah, you. Why, you got someplace to be?
All right, the Void is super powerful. I have no idea what these idiots will actually do to fight him.
I love that
No.
guy.
We got like
So none
three
of us
super
comply?
soldiers.
So what, do we all just punch and shoot?
I don't know
I
exactly.
can't think of a worse group of people trying to work together.
Everyone here has done bad things. You can't escape the past. Hey, it's like your mind is somewhere else.
So you can do something about it now, or live with it forever.
This could get messy.
No shit. You thought you were gonna be some great saviors? You can't even save yourself.
Right, so that was a Sentry. You get a brief
can't do
glimpse of his
No one
powers, I
here.
think.
Is a hero.
Lena, when I look at you, your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
I'm trying to break up the song a little bit. 'Cause,
Okay, that was really good.
We are the Thunderbolts.
Can't call ourselves that. God, thank you.
Vikings of team.
if you put in these damn songs in these trailers that if you're watching, you can get hit.
Bring light.
Even though I'm
from
not
the darkness.
monetized, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
This team can be the heroes on the Wheaties box. With a little giddy toy.
All right. Well, the only thing I can think of like why he was able to do that is the vibranium in his arm would some of the would take some of the force, and then if it works like all the other vibranium, just kind of blows it up, which is kind of weird. And why he wouldn't shatter his knees from I have no idea. I don't know how the vibranium works in the MCU. It just kind of does. It's like super material. It just basically does whatever the hell they want it to do. Oh, all right. Like I said, I'm still gonna see it. It's like Marvel's Suicide Squad kind of thing. Although they got like the Sentry is like super powerful. It's like they're fighting Superman. I can't even imagine you basically would need the actual Avengers to fight the Sentry and the Void. Well, I guess if you have the Sentry, then he could fight the Void. It's kind of confusing. Most of the characters in this thing are people that nobody's ever heard of. Only person that people probably would have heard of, at least normies, would be Bucky. And then it would be, everybody else is from like a TV show or a movie most people didn't go see. So, I don't know. The Stitch thing was okay. This is How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know why you wouldn't just watch the cartoon. The cartoon would be better. So they had some Dunkin' ads.
Welcome to Jabba Jam, Battle of the Coffee Brand Bands.
This ain't the Dunkings. Where the hell are Matt and Tom?
Forget them suckers. Matt Damon and Tom Brady don't have the heart of a champion. We got a new squad, Dun Kings sequel. Affleck and Belichick. Dun Kings! A little more spirit on the, on the charge next time. All right. We got a fourth Dun King, too, coming.
They got his girlfriend in there, too. That's funny.
Oh, my God.
Hey, man.
Is that coffee? What are you doing in there?
I'm just trying to find the character.
We got to battle the barista buds.
I'm all in for Duncan.
You should have paid for Matt.
I told you that.
Dun King, about to get roasted! Like a dark seasonal roast with coriander and slight balsamic drizzle.
Sounds like what's in my garbage disposal.
See you, coach. How much to wait a half hour to get my name spelled wrong on the cup?
Nobody wants a goat milk double half calf soy milk cap. You could just brew it. It's beans and water.
Oh, damn. Listen, Dunkin's for all of you. America runs on Dunkin'.
Okay. That thing. Okay. So do they have like more?
What up, Bronx? Dunkin'! Don't go away. My heart while you dunking me.
Well, at least since he's broken up with friggin' J-Lo, you ain't gotta worry about J-Lo being in this. The first one was okay. I don't need 6 minutes of it. What else they got? Instacart. So these are supposedly the best. Doritos commercials, Pfizer. This, all right. This was the woman empowerment commercial that I did actually hear this one live, and I'm looking at this. It's like who I couldn't figure out who the hell this is for. Like who the thing about the Super Bowl is supposed to be entertaining to regular people, and somebody brought up an interesting point as this was probably made when they thought for whatever reason that the other person was going to win the election, and when they didn't, I don't know why they still put this out. They got little Caesars. So supposedly these are the best commercials. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so I guess I was better off just cooking my chicken wings because. All right, so let's get into some other topics. That was a lot of pointlessness. Oh, okay, there is some gaming news that I saw that I was gonna cover a little bit, but yeah, I can check it out. Apparently, Microsoft had a pretty good quarter in terms of Game Pass. All right. Game Pass sets a new quarter revenue record as subs grow by 30%, Microsoft reveals. All right. Xbox evolving multi-platform strategy. The fate of Game Pass has been a controversial topic. Some argue that it will reach a massive milestone of up to 100 million subscribers in a few years, while others worry about its future. However, the company's tilt towards ditching exclusives in favor of third-party releases has helped Game Pass set a whole new quarter revenue record during quarter 2025, Q2. Why it matters. Game Pass saw significant revenue growth during the last quarter, surpassing expectations and rumors that painted a negative picture. Instead, service is only expected to grow from here as Xbox shifts its strategy. This is one of the things where when everybody talk about Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, the thing that I always bring up is all three of these companies have different. They're not competing. It's like the fanboys think they're competing, but they're actually not. I think Microsoft sees that the exclusivity thing, while nice, and if your console is cheap enough, like Nintendo's, it could sell consoles, but it's like they're kind of seeing the writing on the wall in terms of being an all-in option. What it reminds me of is kind of the thing that they was trying to do with the Xbox One, and they were doing it too quick. They wanted to be they're trying to be the Netflix. So, this, because they know people don't have as much money. So if you can put enough games in one spot and make it easier for people to play them and give them many, many options to play them. Whereas it's PC, on your television, on Fire Stick, on their consoles. It's like, while they would like to sell more consoles, it's kind of like, So whenever they bring up how many consoles did they sold, it's like when you look at the guys who are running the Xbox division, they don't look like they're panicking. Because I think they kind of see how everything is going, whereas Sony is thoroughly dependent on the sales of the PlayStation. I have a PlayStation. I basically use it to watch YouTube and Crunchyroll. That's about it. There are no games on it. Nothing that's coming out. Like one of my most anticipated games is coming out on PC. I'm gonna buy it on PC. So yeah, I'm not gonna get it on PlayStation. So there's like nothing coming out in the next few months that I have any desire to play on my PlayStation. So if that's the case, why would I get a PlayStation 6? So it can basically just do the same thing that this one is doing. Like, I have a nice enough computer where I can play most of the games that I'm interested in will come out on PC. I guess if the next God of War, I didn't really play this Spider-Man because it didn't look interesting. So it's like, would you spend $600 to play like 1 or 2 games? Probably not. I use my computer if I can do other stuff with it. All right. So also, the fiscal year 2025 Q2 earnings call also reveals that Xbox Game Pass purchasers saw a staggering growth spurt, increased by 30%. This record-breaking surge of subscribers was driven by successful releases of Call of Duty and Indiana Jones. And according to the CEO of Microsoft, Game Pass set a new quality record about revenue and grew its PC. He just basically reiterated that. It is worth noting that the Xbox brand as a whole has generated over $6.5 billion in revenue, causing the quarter to become its second best holiday period of the company. This milestone comes in tandem with Microsoft becoming the top game publisher last month. For those not in the know, Game Pass rolled out 137 titles valued at $4,800 last year. The subscription service also earned a praise from Doom developer for exceptional performance over the last few months. Huh. Because if they can get even close to the 100 million subscribers, that is 100 million people giving Microsoft on average $14 a month, averaged out, right? So that's a lot of money every month, just on a continual basis. And because it's so cheap, you don't mind just keeping it, because then when a game comes out, you play it, and you might even try like smaller games that you weren't interested. You probably wouldn't have purchased. So those people get more recognition for those games that you probably wouldn't have actually tried out. But even at $20, and like, you know, people don't have a lot of money to just throw around. So I don't know. Like I said, I think Microsoft knew how all this stuff was headed and decided to make that shift. So what else we got? Yeah. So there was another interesting story where Valve decided, and the wrong button. We got this thing where a bunch of these companies, because like Disney there's a rumor that Disney's going to add commercials to Disney Plus. So even if you're paying for the premium, no commercial service, you're still going to get like commercials. It's like, the reason why I'm paying premium is because I don't want to watch commercials. I don't understand these companies don't seem to. I know, actually, you know what? I know why they do it, because they make more revenue with commercials. They actually want you to pay for the cheaper service because they actually make more revenue from the commercials than they do for you paying for not having commercials. So I think they're just trying to get you annoyed enough where you'll actually pay, like you'll lower what you're paying so they can actually make more revenue. It's kind of like a bait and switch thing. Because from what I understand, or at least I understand, like the way I see it, they're trying to do away with the premium one. Because again, they make more revenue from the ads than they do from you giving them anywhere from $10 or whatever a month. All right, so Valve is deciding that they're not going to have anything to do with that. So Valve bans devs from using in-game ads as a source of revenue on Steam. One thing holding back mobile gaming has been forced advertisements that are used to monetize otherwise decent gameplay experience. These ads, while unfair to gamers, have proven to be a giant piggy bank for developers and publishers alike. And the main reason why I have stopped buying any games on my phone, because they're all geared to, they have, phone games used to be very innovative, and you had all types and you had all kinds. It's like, I don't mind giving you $5 for your game if it's a small experience. And they have stopped, like, they used to be really, like I said, it used to be like really, really interesting games. They stopped doing any of that stuff. It's all these gotcha games and idle games and all this stuff that's designed to work a certain way until you get to a certain point, and then you can't go any further unless you give them money. Most people get frustrated and get rid of the game, but enough people will give them a couple of bucks here, a couple of bucks there. So they wind up making more than the $5 than they would have gotten for this game previously. And if you look at some of the prices for stuff on like iPhone, like on app on iPhone and Android, like the camera apps, and they want you to, instead of just buying the camera app, they want you to give them $20 a year to use their camera app. It's like why would I do this? I'm going to give you all this money for this particular thing that used to be like a $5 purchase a couple years ago. So it's like they're trying to stick all that stuff into like regular games. I don't know why they're doing it. It's like I do know why they're doing it, because of the money. But it is killing mobile games, and it will kill AAA games. And then people will just play the games that don't do that. So, however, Valve has taken it upon itself to ban PC developers from adopting the same dreaded technique to milk revenue from gamers. The company has officially banned forced in-game ads as a source of revenue on Steam. Why it matters: new Valve initiative could prevent the dreaded forced advertisements from infiltrating PC gaming. As analysts have predicted in the past, game developers will not be able to grow revenue by gating gameplay. Not supported. Developers should not utilize paid advertisements as a business model in their game, such as requiring players to watch or otherwise engage in advertising in order to play, or getting gameplay behind advertising. If your game's business model relies on advertising on other platforms, you will need to remove those elements before shipping on Steam. Some options you could consider including switching to a single purchase paid app, or making your game free to play with optional upgrades sold via microtransactions or downloadable content. The developers should not be using advertising as a way to provide value for the players, such as giving players a reward for watching or engaging in advertising for their game. Developers should not charge other developers for access to Steam features. These include sales pages, bundles, store pages, and franchise pages, and etc. See, this is what you kind of do when you actually have a gamer who is running this kind of company and is making enough money where you can tell developers to piss off if they don't want to abide by your rules. They're trying very hard to keep these guys who aren't gamers, who are running these companies, from destroying video games, because that's what they're going to do. And then they'll just move on to whatever popular thing, and they'll use their bachelors or whatever to get a job over there. And they won't look back at the industry that they destroyed. I was published a new page about advertising policies, highlighting exactly that will allow developers to run ads on Steam. Any advertisement that hinders game or gates any elements of the game is not allowed. In other words, the developers cannot have players watch a 10-second ad of an upcoming game to let them continue playing the game. That sort of thing is plaguing mobile games right now, which I absolutely despise. You can microtransactions. I don't have to, as long as they're not game like microtransactions. You can make a lot of money. I think they're making a lot of money on Marvel's Rivals, and they still give you all the characters to play, and it's just costumes. So you can still make money. You just can't make all the money. Man, but non-gamers controlling gaming companies are like parasites. They come in, they destroy everything, and they just move on. And it's like, it is absolutely ridiculous that what is happening to this thing that I love to do. All right, there's not a lot of stuff. Oh. Okay. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is this. Right. They're getting DC Studios is getting their stuff together for the Batman Brave and the Bold. It's like the DC Studios Batman. It's not the Batman. So this is a different Batman, and I guess in a different universe, I guess. So the Brave and the Bold. All right, the Disney's Universe Batman family is fully cast with complete costumes in the Brave and the Bold concept poster. Brave and the Bold movie brings the Bat Family into James Gunn DC universe as multiple actors suit up as the iconic DC comic superheroes in a new concept poster. While DCU's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters sled is still in the early stages, a Batman reboot is on its way in the form of The Brave and the Bold, which will reimagine the Dark Knight for DC Studios. Even though The Brave and the Bold casting is yet to begin, it is not stopping fans from proposing who should play the iconic heroes of Gotham City. With Andy Muschietti set to direct The Brave and the Bold, time will tell when the DCU audience will start hearing about who will actually be part of the cast. In the meantime, John Reagan shared new artwork for The Brave and the Bold with suggestions for several actors who could be cast as both the Dark Knight and the allies from the Bat family. So we got Batman, Alfred, Gordon. So I guess where's Tim Drake at? Jason Todd, Nightwing, Batgirl, and this is not Tim Drake. This is actually Damon Wayne. I keep calling him Wayans. I keep trying to say Damon Wayans, but this is Batman's actual son. So, friend, his daughter, adopted son, actual son. Another picture. All right, so I wonder who they got. Okay. Brandon Kleiner, Richard D. Grant, Brian Cranston. Well, I guess that would probably work. Sadie Sink, Asher Angel. I have not heard of none of these people. Look what the comments are on there. All right. It's on Instagram. I don't feel like signing up for Instagram. Brave and the Bold concept poster features fan favorite choice Brandon Schuyler as Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, along with Asher Angel as Dick Grayson, otherwise Nightwing, Louise Partridge as Jason Todd, Red Hood, Sadie Sink as Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and along with Brian Cranston as James Gordon and Richard E. Grant as Alfred Pennyworth for the role of Damon Wayne, who will be Robin in the DCU. The DCU artworks proposed by Casper Knopf as the son of Bruce and Talia al Ghul. What the Brave and the Bold art means for DCU's Batman, the Batman. Oh, but since it's been teased by Gunn and DCU, ex-CEO, co-CEO Peter Safran, that some Bat family members will be appearing in the Brave and the Bold movie. Well, considering how you're going straight to Damian, that means, and they left out all right. Wing. Then you got Red Wing, which is I'm drawing a brain. They forgot one of the Robins. And depicted Bruce as a solo hero, with exception of Joel Schumacher's Batman. Okay. While Batman is without doubt DC's biggest character of all time, there are so many heroes in this mythology that have helped expand its world over the last couple of decades. With many Robins and Batgirls that have come and gone in the comics, there's a lot of character history in the DCU that can lean through for Brave and the Bold and beyond. Most of Batman's supporting players haven't had their cinematic due yet, which is why the direction of the Bat family in DCU is already something many are excited about. So what I don't understand really is you had a little bit of buzz with the Batman. You had a lot of buzz with the Penguin television show. So instead of fast tracking the Batman 2 to take advantage of the buzz you got from the Penguin show, you pushed it back, and then you're going along with your version of Batman, which takes place in a distant. I don't know how it works. It's like I don't know if this is in the future. Most of the reason why I don't get how it works is because technically Superman and Batman are kind of the same age. So if you have a young Superman, you should have a younger Batman. So therefore, you should be just a little bit older than the Batman. Because I think the Superman you're going with is him. He is an established hero. And it looks like from the trailers that he and Lois are already in a relationship. So he's been Superman for a minute now when that happens. So he should be like, he's basically around the same age, and kind of like, all right, if you look at the original the Batman, like Batman cartoon from like the early 2000s, that was along the same, like that's Batman and Superman when that came up, they're around the same age. So when they bump heads, is they're on like they're the same age and they've been active for a while. So the trust or distrust is comes from they don't know each other, but they also know of each other. So it's like you're gonna cast a young Superman, but you got a Batman who is old enough to have a teenage son, and his other sons are in their 20s. Now, I think the way that it works is Bruce Wayne adopted Dick Grayson when Dick Grayson was like 12, and he was in his mid 20s, mid to late 20s, I think. So that will put him in like, so this will be about 10 years later if Nightwing is Nightwing. So he should be in his mid 30s. So I guess technically he could have had a kid around the time of when Jason Todd was killed off. Maybe Tim Drake. So it's weird. I don't know why James Gunn is doing this. It's like he's skipping ahead because I know why. Part of the reason why he's doing that is because Damon Wayne is his favorite Robin. So he's decided to skip over the other three, and for some reason, I have no idea. Oh, I don't know. All right. Okay. Do I feel like talking about the Armor Wars? Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit. And I lost my camera. Awesome. StreamYards, man. It did this before where the camera just stopped working, even though it's actually like when I get out of StreamYards and I start up again, it'll work fine. I don't know. It's just really weird how this thing works. All right, so Armor Wars. I'm not too much. I don't know how many people are familiar with this. Exciting Marvel Studios producer Nate Moore. Exiting. Yeah. Exiting Marvel Studios producer Nate Moore shared a long gestating Armor Wars series is no longer top priority at the studio. Speaking with Collider, Moore, who announced his departure from Marvel Studio in the middle of December, revealed that the Armor Wars is unlikely to be made anytime soon. Yeah, because they kind of messed up the whole thing. The whole premise of this is about Tony Stark losing control of the technology for his armor and a bunch of people getting plans of older armors of his and creating their own versions of them, and him going out with Rhodey and attempting to get all of his technology back from these different people, which would have been an interesting story if you probably would have maybe did it around Iron Man 3, but you decided to go in that other route that you did. So this could have been cool then, because you already had people working on their own versions of his armor and all that. So it'll probably maybe could have been Iron Man 4, but then you decided to kill Tony Stark off in Endgame. So you couldn't do it. And then they decided to go with the Rhodey doing it for some reason. Like, I don't know, that could have worked, but then you just completely destroyed Rhodey as a character within Secret Invasion by making him a female Skrull for some silly reason, and a TV show that nobody watched. So then I don't know how you make a story, a movie, or a television show based off of what happened in that show when not too many people watched that show. So then you would have had to deal with the after effects of what happened in a TV show that nobody watched, in another TV show that you hope people watch, and make a story so that the people who didn't watch the previous show would understand. Like, it would be very confusing. So that's probably why this is the case of them not actually wanting to do it. It's not my project to be honest, but I do know as Marvel Studios continues to go through this phase, we want to make sure whatever we're making is awesome. Yeah, well, lately everything you have been making was not awesome. That means we had to slow down. Some things were on the front burner, and it doesn't mean that we'll never make it, but it does mean that we have to be a little bit more considered so that every time out the audience are guaranteed quality. I wish they would have thought about all that before they made all this crap they've been doing the last 4 years. All right, Armor Wars was announced. Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige back in 2020, 5 years ago. Said at the time we were well underway on a series for Disney Plus based on Armor Wars, a classic Marvel story about Tony Stark's worst fear coming true is what happens when his tech falls into the wrong hands. Yeah, and then you killed off Tony Stark. When to reveal the series was supposed to star Don Cheadle, and the series will star beloved member of the MCU. Don Cheadle will be returning as Jen Rose, aka War Machine. Armor Wars was a 7-issue comic book series set in Iron Man 2025 and concluded in Iron Man 2031. The series saw a number of Tony Stark's villains requiring his technology. In the comic run, Stark discovers technology has been stolen while investigating the former villain's force armor. After making this discovery, he would then compile a list of all the people who might have possibly benefited from the use of this stolen technology. The villains included Dr. Doom, the Beetle, Shockwave, Stiltman, Courage and Dynamo, and the Controller, the Mauler, the Raiders, Titanium Man, Professor Power, and more. Wow. I can see why you didn't want to do this. Because you still haven't introduced Dr. Doom. You haven't introduced the Beetle, Shockwave, Stiltman, Crimson Dynamo, the Control, none of these people. So it's basically these people. So this is a Spider-Man villain. So Fantastic Four. This is an Iron Man villain. I think some of these are like Iron Man villains, and some of them aren't. But it's a lot of stuff that they do in these stuff, like in these different movies and television shows, where they try to do stuff that is based off of things that have a history. And you're trying to introduce stuff that has a history, and you're trying to do this in the first 30 minutes of a movie or the first couple of episodes of a television show, and you don't have writers that are good enough to actually pull that off. So I can see why they're having issues. Gotta love that 80s hair though. Ooh, and look, check out the flat top. Okay. He went and discussed Carl Walker, the man who was formerly supervillain Forrest. He acquired the technology found in his suit. Walker affirms him that it's received technology from Justin Hammer. Okay. So this is basically just giving up a synopsis of that. Let's see where. Yeah. This kind of reminds me of like Secret Wars. I'm still not sure of what it is that they're gonna actually make for the Secret Wars. Because even though they can't do the first one because it's the exact same problem, is you still have not you still not shown us Fantastic. Well, we're about to get the Fantastic Four, but you still have not shown us the X-Men or the other Avengers. There's so many people that are tied into these stories that you have not yet introduced in the MCU. So I just have a feeling that this is just going to like the Doomsday thing and Doomsday Wars and Secret Wars are just going to be like in name only movies that are based off of fairly not what am I looking for? Not I'm just gonna have to get kind of ignorant. Not good writers. That's basically the concept of what it's just gonna be. All right. But there is one thing that they probably need to worry about is one of their biggest markets. There we go. I'm back. One of their biggest markets is China, and there's a picture of, and Disney does this a lot. There's a picture of an advertisement for the new Captain America 4 movie, where it's a cutout of where you can stand in front of the Red Hulk trying to smash you like you're Captain America. And the cutout is all red. Disney has a bad habit of getting rid of their black characters when it comes to China. And they're doing all of this to appease China. Because China has issues with certain things. I'm not as familiar with it. I'm trying to talk around this thing because I know a little bit about what's going on, but not enough to actually. It would just be speculation. So, all right, there is a animation that came out in China that already crossed $1 billion, making $1 billion at box office an impressive feat. Not as much it was because given what ticket prices are, it's a little less of an impressive feat. It is so tough that only 58 movies ever achieved this milestone. The world's top grossing movie of all time remains James Cameron's smash hit Avatar. Actually, technically speaking, the most profitable movie ever is Gone with the Wind if you adjust the ticket prices into what modern ticket prices are. Yeah, it's like insane amount of money that movie made. World's top grossing movie is 2.9, blah, blah, blah. Joining Avatar in the 2 billion club, the Endgame, Avatar the Way of Water, Titanic, Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens, Avengers Infinity War, and the majority of films that cross the 1 billion threshold are sequel to major franchises. In the year 2024, we're lucky enough to have 3 films reach $1 billion: Inside Out 2, Deadpool, Wolverine, and Moana 2. It is typical with many high-grossing films. These releases all came during the summer and or the holiday period. Inside Out 2 was released on June 14th, so the worldwide box office did not see its first $1 billion movie until roughly halfway through the year. This trend is completely shifted in 2025 because of a title from overseas that just becoming this year's first $1 billion movie. Chinese movie Ne Zha 2 has passed $1 billion. Ne Zha 2 is officially become the first $1 billion movie in 2025. Ne Zha 2 is a sequel to the Chinese animated movie Ne Zha, which was released in 2019. The story follows the tale of a god named Taya Zinren. I'm probably saying it wrong. I apologize. Who has used mystical powers to reconstruct the destroyed bodies of the first films, Neza and Ao Bing. The film was directed by Yu Yang, who also stepped in for the first film. Ne Zha 2's leading voice cast includes Mo Han, Xiao Chen, Uzi Han, and Deshaun Wang. Deshaun? That don't sound like it. Well, last name does, but okay. Variety is now becoming the world's first $1 billion movie in 2025 after bringing in 267 million during its second weekend. Total is now 1.11 billion. This has allowed the film to set several records, including becoming China's highest grossing movie of all time. It also holds the new record for the biggest single market gross, surpassing The Force Awakens domestic gross of 936. It's worth noting the film came out during Chinese New Year, which likely played a major factor in its success. Box office success of Ne Zha 2 proves again how vital the Chinese market is today's box office for the winter release to end up. No, what it proves is that China does not need American movies to actually make money. It doesn't, which is why they're so picky about the movies they let in, because they can generate enough money within their own country for their own movies, so they don't have to make anything that is geared towards the West at all. And Hollywood, on the other hand, is trying so hard to get into that market that they're alienated their own market. Like The Force Awakens shows that they can make $1 billion in America if they make a movie that Americans want to see. But because they're so desperate to get into the Chinese market that they are doing stuff to appease them and just thinking that we'll just go out and just watch it just to be watching it. Like, the problem with that, though, is that's not what's happening. Like what's happening is we're getting frustrated and we're just not going out to see these movies. The Hollywood needs to stop bending over backwards to appease other markets and focus on trying to appease the one that their home market. And with that shows that China does not need American movies. All right, so there's one more thing that I wanted to get into. But given with the Oscar, what was the last awards? The Grammys and who they are nominated for Best Picture and female actress. Like Hollywood is still stuck in this this mindset of they can just do whatever they want and then we'll just come out and give them money, even though that has not been the case for a few years now. All right, so the next Captain America comes out on Friday. There is a little bit of, and I think that's what I'll end this one, this last story. Captain America Brave New World adamantium being mined from a celestial, confirmed to be the retcon of Internals by a Marvel producer who explains how that came to be. For all the people who, I was not one of them, for all the people who saw the Eternals, the running joke that I've heard from people who actually saw it was that the Earth has a giant hand sticking out of it, which they ignore the fact that how that will probably throw off the rotation of the planet. You put that much mass, and the fact that the planet rotates based off of like whatever it was that was inside, because from what I understand, that the Earth was like a big egg, and a celestial was inside of it, and it was trying to hatch, and it was somehow stopped. I'm like, okay, but now you got, it's like, I don't know exactly how that works. You take a ball, you stick a hand on one part of the ball, and I don't know how that does not throw off everything and kill everybody on the planet, but it's Marvel, and they have very terrible writers who don't seem to understand how space or planets or anything works. Brave New World set to follow up on events of Eternals, which details confirming the MCU will finally receive adamantium through the dead body of Celestial. This has been considered retcon by some, as the plans for the Eternal characters were originally intended to go into a different direction. The inclusion of adamantium in the franchise is a big and bold choice, but it's a perfect way to follow up on past events while building up to Rumored Mutants saga. They've already introduced mutants with Miss Marvel. Miramax own Liam Crawley recently spoke with Marvel producer Nate Moore, where the topic of adamantium came up. So I guess this is the guy who left. When asked about the plans for adamantium, which will eventually be part of Project X, it's like, so you're going to introduce adamantium to the planet through the Celestial, but you've already introduced Wolverine already, and the rumors are that Hugh Jackman is going to be Wolverine for a minute in the MCU. So he already has adamantium. All right. And this is what I mean about the bad writing. This is like one group. The thing about Marvel, what it used to be, like all the directors used to talk to each other so that whatever they're doing in their movies lines up with what other people do in their movies. That after Endgame, that stopped being the case. So one does this, this other one does that. It's like Captain Marvel comes out and completely retcons where the Avengers name come from and all this other stuff, and they had to go back and just don't talk about it, which is so you. And in was it Vision and the Scarlet Witch? They introduce their children, but the children are tied into Mephisto. But you don't, because the person who wrote that didn't know that that's what the story went. It's like they just got an idea of a story and wrote a thing based off of whatever they felt instead of actually what applied to the comic books, thus confusing all the comic book readers because what you didn't make any sense. After the thing that they were hoping it was going to happen didn't happen. But that seems to be how Marvel has been operating in the last 4 years. Okay. gave a candid answer, expressed it was not a part of the original plan for the character. Instead, Tyam moved as a source of adamant. It became a happy accident later on. No, full stop. I mean, look, we made the movie because I love those characters and we wanted to figure out a way to get them into the MCU. But you didn't actually bring the characters in. You race changed everybody and introduced characters. All right. If you go back far enough in terms of humanity, the way humans work, you had like 3 races. You had Africans, Caucasians, which came from Caucasus Mountains, and Mongolians. We had 3. Multiple people who are playing Eternals in terms of their race did not exist in that time period. It's because their race is a mixture of a bunch of these 3 folks, and it's like a whole thing. So that was one that was weird. So, and you changed the internals, and you changed the story of why they was here on Earth, and you introduced a bunch of other stuff that didn't match from the comic book. So you just wrote your own thing. And like I said before, you already have a character that's technically in the MCU as Wolverine who has adamantium on him. I mean, it's built into his body. So how are you going to explain that when because you're going to use him because people like him as Wolverine. So how this is going to actually make sense later on, and this is what I mean, is they make decisions that is based, it works for them at this precise moment, but winds up being problems later on. So, all right. I think the end of the movie was very cool, and it's, hey, if we're going to revisit that idea that there's a celestial in the ocean, what is the best version of that? How do you make it so there's both the homage to the film, but also forward looking? When we start building Captain America: Brave New World, we realized there was an opportunity to bring it back in sort of a nascent spot where adamantium was found, and we thought it was really cool because, again, you get to revisit a place that you've seen before, but also speaks of what might come into future. Celestials are very, very big. So is it just like I said, I didn't see the movie. So is it just the hand, or is it just the entire body? And like, what happened to the rest of the body? Did the body reform back into the planet? And if that happened, wouldn't that throw everything off? Because again, the Celestials are bigger than are as big as a planet. And if the mass was not in the middle, so if the mass in the middle of the Earth, which is iron, which helps with rotation, so if that mass was actually a celestial, and then it formed into a celestial and was trying to get out, so then that would throw everything off. So again, you would kill everybody on the planet. It's like no thought goes into any of this stuff. So that's why none of these movies make any sense. It makes sense to use the incredible metal in the universe is a very natural path forward. Following this, Crowley asks if adamantium was a dishwasher safe, to which it's hard to believe it's indestructible. It might screw up your dishwasher, but I think adamantium will be fine. Again, this is a person who doesn't understand the general concept of this comic or this part of Marvel Comics, talking to somebody else who doesn't understand. So they're making goofy jokes. What Nate Moore's comments mean for adamantium in MCU. Sometimes MCU has a plot twist everyone can see coming. Other times it has the more unique details found to meet perfect story parameters later on. These comments against that, while Eternals was not originally intended to set up adamantium in the universe, opportunity felt natural and perfect enough to use. It makes sense, especially with the franchise move forward and introducing new mutant characters into the U series. And adamantium is most important to the character of Wolverine. Yes. If you were to manage to recast them, because if you're doing Project X, that means you would probably are recasting Wolverine. I don't know how any of this is going to work. You already killed off half the people on the planet, then you brought half the people back after 5 years, which threw everybody else off because people's life kept going for 5 years, and then you threw people back in. So you never touched on the ramifications of doing that. I mean, you just skip over that, and then you decided to have an internal bust out of the Earth and have no adverse things on Earth. Because one, anything that's big enough to, it's like anything that's big enough to that size would actually cause tsunamis and all. No thought goes into that, so they're just like, don't worry about it, and then just move on to the next thing. Whether or not Hugh Jackman's tenure in the role is ended, MCU needs a Wolverine replacement. Setting up pieces like this suggests that Marvel has great plans for the future, which is likely to see a new Wolverine appear in the franchise. Its origin of adamantium suggests this has not yet occurred. But what does it give a good idea what Marvel is currently building toward? It's just a smart pivot that allows Eternals to feel even more necessary to the larger cinematic. No, it doesn't make any sense. Again, this is stuff reading by people who don't understand the source material. None of this makes any sense. Wolverine has been around since Logan has been around since the 1800s. So it means he would have to be alive at this time period. Project X takes place around like Vietnam, like before Vietnam or something like that. So it takes place a long time. So that would have already had taken place. Does not take. So Wolverine is not a young guy. So it's like I don't understand any of this because they don't understand any of this. Project likely centered on X-Men. This would be a great hint towards that. Captain America: Brave New World seems to be working hard to be an integral part of the universe, and the natural introduction of adamantium makes sense for that. While it may still be a few years before a famous mutant team appears, it seems that the seeds for that team are already being planted in the MCU. It would only be a matter of time before all of these pieces come together. I always thought that the whole point of doing Secret Wars was that you can introduce the mutants into the MCU. Because the way the second Secret Wars goes, Doctor Doom had the power cosmic. He can reshape reality. And he also had the Molecule Man, which allowed him to reshape reality. So what he did, he took bits and pieces from different multiverse, planet Earth, combined them into one. So one of those chunks probably would have been where the mutants come from. So when he was defeated, a new Earth was created that combined elements of all of this stuff. So that you can have these things. And the way, because essentially this whole book was designed to put Miles Morales into the 616 universe. That's basically what it was for. It did all this stuff to bring and when he came over, the way that it worked is like his mother was like the Molecule Man. He befriended the Molecule Man. So the Molecule Man, when everything was recreated, brought his mother back to life, made his dad, gave his entire family history. So they have been living in Brooklyn for their whole lives. And they had people who knew them as far as the memories goes, the Morales family has been in existence in this particular part of Brooklyn for a long time. So that's basically what a lot of people is thinking. That's what's going to happen with the mutant, is that because you recreated reality from that point forward, that your new Captain America, your new Iron Man, your new all this will be that version of those characters would have been in existence in that planet for forever. This, I don't know what that means with that. So I have no idea what they're gonna. Like I said, I have no idea what they're doing. So hopefully they have learned their lesson. Given what listening to these people talk, I don't think that they have. I don't know. It is what it is. So anybody who's checking this out later, please like, share, and subscribe. Give me a comment or two. Let me know what your thoughts about what I talked about today. Whether you liked it or not. Any tips or whatever, just give a shout out. And